Okay, good morning, Year 10. Just going to continue with Algebra 5. Last time we were solving factorised quadratics. A lot of the work had been done for us, but we were just applying that logic about two things being, when the product of two things are equal to 0, either the first thing is equal to 0 or the second thing is equal to 0. We're going to use that today, but we're going to have to use that in combination with factorising, because we're going to get some unfactorised quadratics, and the only way to solve them algebraically is to factorise them first. So the objective is to know how to factorise and then solve quadratics. So I'm going to give you a quadratic. It's got an x squared, that's the highest power, and then we go from there. Now, just a reminder from last time that quadratics need to be equal to 0. Otherwise this logic is not going to work. This is equal to 0, so that's perfectly fine. But can you remember how to factorise? Now, factorising is the reverse of expanding, and you need to identify the product and the sum. Okay, so the sum needs to be 6 and the product needs to be 8. So you were thinking of two numbers which add together to give you 6, but the product is 8. I've told you to focus on the product first, so any two numbers which times together to give you an 8. Think about it for long enough, 2 and 4 would work. Okay, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 plus 4 is 6. And that tells us what this splits up into. It goes into an x squared plus 2x plus 4x plus 8. Then you factorize the first two terms. Try and do as much of this in your head as you can. X brackets x plus 2. Then you factorize the second half, the last two terms, plus what's common? There's a 4 common. And if you've done it right, these brackets need to match up. If they don't, you've done something wrong. And now there's enough information for you to write down the second bracket, which is an x plus 2, and the first bracket would be whatever's left over, the x and the 4, like so. And that's how you factorize. But remember, this is solving an equation. All of this is equal to 0. Equal to 0. And then this question becomes exactly the same as last lessons. You've got the product of two things, and the answer is 0. And the logic was either x plus 4 is equal to 0, or the second thing, x plus 2, is equal to 0. And you get either x is negative 4 or x is negative 2. Two answers to this. So this combination of the previous two lessons, you've got to factorize, and then once you factorize, then you can solve using the logic. So the method, again, make sure it's equal to 0, otherwise logic isn't going to work. Factorize, then solve in that order and that order only. Okay, let's try some more examples. So e.g. number 2. Right. Order is make equal to 0. It's already equal to 0. Job done. Now factorize. Okay, this is a 3-termed quadratic. So it's going to go into the double brackets. So we need the product and sum stuff. So sum is negative 9. Product is 18. This is always the hardest bit. Okay, so two numbers which add together to give you negative 9, but the product is a positive 18. Okay, because the product is a positive number, the numbers have to be the same sign. So, you know, you could have a plus 1 and a plus 18, a plus 2, a plus 9, and so on, but they need to add up to a negative. So the only way to do that is by using two negative numbers. And the longer you think about this, you'll realise it's negative 3 and negative 6. They times together to give you the plus 18, but they add to give you negative 9. Okay, let's put those in. X squared minus 3x minus 6x plus 18. Just take those. And then factorize the first two terms. Minus. And then factorize the last two terms. Well, the number that's common is 6. And you get x minus 3. And again, these brackets need to match up. They go second, and then this would go first. Reminder, x times x minus 3, x times x minus 3, minus 6 times x minus 3, minus 6 times x minus 3. The reverse of expanding. And that's factorizing done. And then you have to solve. And remember, it is equal to 0. And that is the key thing about solving. Needs to be equal to 0. To give you either x minus 6 is equal to 0, that first number, or x minus 3 is equal to 0, what we were doing last time. To give you two answers, x is 6 or x is equal to 3. Okay, EG number 3, one more example, I think. Okay, we've got x squared plus 5x is equal to 6. And go through the steps again. We need to make sure it's equal to 0. And this is the first one now, which is not equal to 0. So how can you make this equation equal to 0? You have to subtract 6. It's the only way to do it. X squared plus 5x subtract 6 is equal to 0. And now you solve this. Factorize. Sum, product. Looking for two numbers which add together to give you 5, but their product is a negative 6. If the products are negative, they've got to be different signs. And you can think about this for a while, but you should get 6 and minus 1 would work. 6 and minus 1 to get x squared plus 6x minus 1x minus 6, and then factorize the first two terms by themselves. X brackets x plus 6 minus, and if you do this one, it would be x plus, probably minus 1 is better, minus 1 x plus 6, because the common factor is a 1 between these, so that's why it's minus 1 brackets x plus 6. And then x plus 6 is the second bracket, x minus 1 is the first bracket, and that's the factorizing done. Now solve. It's equal to 0. There's the 0, and then the logic from the last lesson is the product of two numbers equal to 0. Either the first thing is 0 or the second thing is 0. To give you the answers, x is 1 or x is equal to negative 6. And yeah, that would be it. Now the exam tip is use substitution to check your answers. So use substitution to check your answers like you would do with any equation. You're always told that substitute into the original equation just to see if it is correct. The only bit of advice I'd give you is if you are substituting in negative numbers into the original equation, you have to use brackets like the following. Minus 6 squared plus 5 minus 6's press equals, that's equal to 6 as predicted. So use your calculator to substitute numbers in to check your answers. If they're negative numbers, you have to use brackets. Now the questions I'd like you to try from today, they're all located on page 320, exercise 9 and 9 star. You're going to do both today. You're going to check your answers with the ones in the back of the book. You're going to mark the ones you got right. You're going to try and correct the ones you've got wrong. And you are going to upload those to Class Notebook. And if you've got any questions at all, then post them in the Teams chat, please. Thank you very much. Speak to you soon.